Yesterday I broke my 2 months of nofap. I masturbated. This statement, raw as it may sound, is a confession of my relapse into an act I've been striving to quit. A struggle that began during my teenage years and has trailed me into my mid-30s like a shadow I just can't shake off. A feeling of deep regret washes over me, a sense of disappointment with myself as the realization of my relapse sinks in. A wave of melancholy that's all too familiar yet hits me anew each time. I've been down this road before, and it's a road I've been trying to leave behind. I've ventured on multiple paths in a bid to overcome this habit. The NoFap challenge, a beacon of hope, was my latest attempt. For 2 months I held on, but yesterday I faltered. I thought I'd stopped, but here we are. My journey with this struggle started as a teenager. It was during those formative years, a time of curiosity and exploration. Innocently, I stumbled upon masturbation. It was a discovery that brought a sense of pleasure, a fleeting escape from the pressures of adolescence. Like a thrilling secret, it was mine to keep, mine to control. As time passed, this simple act of self-discovery began to morph into something different. It was no longer just a source of pleasure, but a refuge, a coping mechanism against the world. The stresses of school, the pressures of fitting in, the daunting nature of the unknown future, all seemed to dissolve in those fleeting moments of solitary pleasure. The frequency grew from once in a while to a few times a week, then daily. I began to rely on it, to crave it. It was like a sweet poison, a guilty indulgence that I couldn't resist. It was a secret ritual, a hidden addiction that was mine and mine alone. But the pleasure began to wane. What once felt like a harmless pastime began to feel like a compulsion. The guilt started to creep in. The shame started to weigh heavy. I realized I was no longer in control. The thing that once brought me pleasure was now the source of my torment. I started to see the negative effects. My energy levels dipped, my focus wavered, my relationships suffered. I was losing myself, sinking deeper into this quicksand of self-indulgence. I was losing sight of who I was, of what I wanted to be. I began to question myself. Was this normal? Was this healthy? I was in a constant battle with myself, a tug of war between my desires and my conscience. But the more I resisted, the stronger the urge became. It was a struggle, a fight I was losing. Before I knew it, I was trapped in this vicious cycle. My harmless secret had turned into a destructive habit, a monster that was consuming me from the inside. I was trapped, caught in the web of my own actions, a prisoner to my own desires. The struggle had begun. Over the years, I've tried to quit multiple times. This journey, it's been far from linear, more like a tangle of hope and despair, a maze where the exit seems perpetually out of reach. I've attempted different methods, each promising a way out. The first was sheer willpower. I told myself, I am stronger than this urge. I am in control. And for a while, it seemed to work. I'd go days, even weeks without giving in. But then a moment of weakness would come and I'd fall back into the trap. Next, I discovered the NoFap challenge. It seemed like the perfect solution, a community of people all struggling with the same issue, all supporting each other. It was inspiring. I followed the guidelines, marked off the days on a calendar and saw progress. I made it to 2 months, 60 days of abstinence. But then yesterday happened and those 2 months felt like they'd been for nothing. Then there were the self-help books and therapy sessions. I pored over pages of advice, attended meetings, shared my story. It was cathartic, yes, but it didn't stop the urges. It didn't cure me. In my darkest moments, I even tried to punish myself. Each time I fell, I'd deprive myself of something I loved, a favorite food, a cherished pastime. But this only led to more pain, more self-loathing. It was a cycle of torment, not a path to recovery. I've also tried to replace the habit with healthier ones. Exercise, meditation, new hobbies. These helped, certainly. They distracted me, gave me a sense of accomplishment, but they were like band-aids on a deep wound. They covered the issue but didn't heal it. In all these attempts, I've learned one thing. Quitting is not a one-size-fits-all journey. What works for one may not work for another. And while I've found temporary relief, I've also faced crushing setbacks. Despite my best efforts, I always found myself back at square one. But you know what? This isn't the end of my story. I may have stumbled, but I have not given up, and I never will. I've shared my story, not for pity, but for help. These were my words as I laid bare my struggle, my failures, my relapse. I am not here to wallow in self-pity or to dwell in the shadows of my past mistakes. No, I am here to seek guidance, to ask for a helping hand, to reach out to you, the listener, who might have been in a similar situation or know someone who has. This struggle, my struggle, is not unique. It's a battle that many face silently, shrouded in the darkness of guilt and shame. But it's time to bring this issue into the light. It's time to talk about it, to address it, and most importantly, to overcome it. I've tried so many methods, so many approaches to quit masturbation. I've taken up the NoFap challenge. I've sought professional help. I've read self-help books, and yet I find myself back at square one. It feels like I'm trapped in a vicious cycle, a never-ending loop of guilt, regret, and relapse. But I refuse to give up. I refuse to let this problem define me, to rule my life. I want to break free, to regain control, to live a life free from the shackles of this addiction. I want to change. I need to change. But I've come to realize that I can't do it alone. That's why I'm reaching out to you, my viewers. I'm asking for your advice, your guidance, your support. If you've been in a similar situation, if you've faced this problem and found a way to overcome it, I want to hear from you. Share your experiences, your struggles, your victories. Let your stories be a beacon of hope, a guiding light in my journey towards recovery. I want to thank you in advance for your support, for your understanding. I know that this is a difficult topic to talk about, but it's a conversation that needs to happen. It's a step towards healing, towards recovery, towards a better tomorrow. I want to change. I need to change. Can you help me? This is my story, my struggle, a journey that began in the shadows of adolescence and has trailed me into adulthood. It's a path many tread, yet few speak of, the compulsion to masturbate, an act so private, yet its grip so publicly profound on my life. The past has been a battleground of failed attempts, from the NoFap challenge to other methods. Each time the victory seemed within my grasp, only to slip away. I stand before you today, not as a conqueror, but as a man still caught in the throes of this struggle. But every battle begins with acknowledging the enemy, and that's what I've done today. I've laid bare my struggle in the hopes that it resonates with someone out there grappling with the same. Share this video, let it reach those silent warriors fighting their own battles. Remember, we're not alone. Together we can overcome. Thank you for listening to my story.